Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We are going to call this meeting to order. It's 10:02, and we will start with a salute of the flag. Can we please have, oh my gosh. Okay, Councilwoman Vanderwell, please lead us in the pledge. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Beautifully done, Councilwoman Vanderwell. Madam Clerk, can we please have a roll call?
Of course. Vaughn Hartung, Chair, is absent. Vice Chair Alexis Hill.
Here.
Bob Lucy is absent. Kitty Jung.
Present.
Jean Herman.
Here.
County Manager Eric Brown. Here. Assistant District Attorney Nathan Edwards.
Here.
And I'm Jan Galasini, your County Clerk. Madam, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And just for the public to know, we are going to move things around a bit on the agenda. We're going to go into our presentations, item 3 and 4. And since we have 3 really special proclamations here, we'll be going into item 7 after that, and then we will be going into public comment. So thank you, everyone, for your patience on the adjustment of the schedule. And we'll start with item number 3, presentation and discussion on the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority operations and renovations by Darren Griffin, CEO of the Airport Authority.
Good morning, Chair Hill, Commissioners, Manager Brown. For the record, Darren Griffin. It's great to be with you this morning. I appreciate the opportunity to update you on your airport. A lot of exciting things going on. I've got a number of slides to get through with you. I'll go quickly. I know you have a very busy agenda. Just a very quick reminder of who we are, the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority, 9 appointees. I want to thank you for your 2 appointees to our board this year. Our chair is Adam Kramer, who has been very busy following me around, visiting with airlines and getting big approvals on projects. And of course, Lisa Giannoli, a past chair in her 8th and final year with us. And Lisa has seen a tremendous amount of progress and improvement at the airport. It's busy. We are a financially independent airport authority. We live on our own revenues, collect no local taxes other than the passenger facility charge, which you pay $4.50 every time you fly out of the airport. Otherwise, we get federal grant money, we generate revenues, and we spend them on infrastructure and people and the things that it takes to run a great airport. A quick snapshot on one of our most important indicators is people. How many people are flying out of the Reno Tahoe International Airport? A pretty dramatic chart there based on COVID. Like all airports, 2020 was a dramatic decrease in people flying. We came back a lot faster than a lot of other airports in 2021. Of course, leisure travel led that resurgence. And we had a tremendous response of people coming up to Northern Nevada in 2021. And so we started coming back a lot faster than a lot of economists expected. This year, we're projecting almost our 2019 numbers, and I will say we are going to get all of that and maybe a little bit more. And then next year in 2023, we do expect to be all the way back and to continue growing as Northern Nevada has grown. A really important chart, our airlines and our routes. And on the right of the screen there is the list of the 12 airlines presently serving the airport, which is a fantastic number. Any airport in the country would be happy with this. And really, we're appreciative of all the support we're getting from the airlines. You can see on the route map there, great service to the Southwest and the West Coast. We're doing well to the Midwest and Texas, and all the hubs are represented there, minus Atlanta, kind of that big gap on the screen. We are working on getting Atlanta back with Delta, and we do expect to have that back in 2023, along with those longer routes are the ones that are harder to get right now with the airlines. But we're having a lot of great conversations. Everybody sees what's happening in our market, which is growth and development, and that manifests itself in more people wanting to fly. So this is a good story right now. The red dots there are Southwest Airlines markets, and you see what an important partner Southwest Airlines is for us. They are about 45% of all passengers through Southwest Airlines. So speaking of the airlines, it's been an interesting business the last couple of years, that's for sure. And this year has been generally a great year for them. In the third quarter, all the primary airlines broke records for revenue. A lot of Americans are flying for a lot of reasons. Seat capacity has actually declined after all of their struggles in 2021 with labor and some really high profile kind of system failures of lots of thousands of cancellations. They all pulled back, so the planes are all, load factors are high. You're in a more crowded airplane than you've probably ever been. You're paying more for airfare than you've ever paid, and yet we're still really coming back strong. People want to travel. They're willing to pay more for some of those routes. There's still great deals out there, though. If you can buy earlier and you have a preferred airline, all of them still have great opportunities for good fares. And, you know, we expect all of them will hopefully, with a good Thanksgiving and Christmas, they will all net a profit for the calendar year 2022, which is not where we thought we would be. And halfway through 2020 in the pandemic, many people thought it would be 3 to 5 year recovery for the commercial airline industry. So it's come back much faster than we expected. And of course, air cargo is strong because we're all using point of sale from our phone delivered to your home more than ever, and that just generates more air cargo activity. What we're really focused on is the growth in our region, and this is a map that we've shown a lot of external audiences who aren't familiar with Northern Nevada, who don't live here, and all the housing starts. And why would the airport be interested in where residential housing is going to go up? It's because those are customers, future customers of ours, and we need to be planning for the growth in the region. Lots of people fly. They don't always want to fly, but lots of people fly for lots of different reasons, and we want to be thinking about that and what that means for the airport. First, it means parking challenges, which we have plenty of today, and I'll speak a little bit more about that. We have a great route map that's going to get better in 2023, we expect. Historic numbers of passengers. Next week, we will have 2 days that are the biggest in 15 years at the airport. In the summer, we were breaking records. So people are flying in greater volumes than we've ever seen. We're still trying to understand why that is. We think we're past the COVID bubble, if you will. And it's simply that people have more freedom to travel with work now. That a lot of people are working remotely. You can blend a vacation with work. Your family's at the beach. You are on your laptop on the deck and you are working. And you're extending your stay, and we see people staying in the parking lots much longer than they used to. So it's creating a lot of challenges for us with infrastructure. So we have built a program called More R&O. I hope you've heard of it. If you haven't, we're not branding it well enough, but we are pushing it pretty hard. And this is a series of projects designed to take the airport forward 20 to 30 years. It really kind of covers a comprehensive construction program that's going to, one, generate a lot of economic activity just in and of itself when you're building things, but it also is designed to grow the airport, add capacity, modernize it, but keep it the airport that people love, because people love this airport. We hear that over and over again, and we don't want to change that part of it. What does it all include? This is kind of a map, oblique map. If you're looking at it from, you know, an angle in the foreground, there is the 580. So we're starting with the ticketing expansion. The dark blue are kind of the construction projects. The ticketing expansion has already begun. If you've been by the airport lately, the front of it is just ripped up right now. It's walled off. You can't see it, but you can hear it. They're ripping out the roadway. They're ripping off the front of the building. What we're doing is just expanding the ticket hall there. The dark blue to the far left is a new garage and rental car structure that will handle 100% of the rental cars and all of your ground transportation. So whether you use Uber or Lyft or a cab or a shuttle to a casino, whatever it is, all of that will take place in that location. That frees up a lot of parking in the garage structure that we need for the general public. The main project that I will talk about are 2 new concourses. So we're going to replace all of the 23 gates that exist today. Some other projects up there with the loop roadway separating the entrance and the exit. Plum Lane is a single point of failure for us. And with a security incident we had just over a week ago, it made it almost impossible to get in and out of the airport. So we want to move away from that model as well. Starting with the ticket hall, we're just pushing the ticket hall out towards the road. We have a really deep, almost 30-foot curb there that's kind of wasted space. We need more space inside the building for people with all the checked bags that we have and skis and snowboards and golf clubs. We're also going to elevate the ceiling so it just makes it more spacious. add public art, add public restrooms, add more wheelchair access, and modernize the entire facility. There'll be more kiosks for you to print bag tags or to check in as you go through. It's very congested in the mornings and midday, and as our passenger volumes grow, this is the front door, and this will really improve this, and we're just over a year from being done with this project, about $32 million. We're also going to work on cleaning up the front of it. The windows look the same as the doors, and sometimes that's an issue for people having trouble finding their way through. So we'll make the front of the airport facade will look much more modern, easier, and more intuitive for people to find where they're trying to go, and that will just really add a lot to the front door. We'll also pull an elevator core out, encase it in glass, and light the top of it as a really prominent architectural feature for people that are arriving at the airport that you see at a lot of airports now. So also replacing the loop roadway, all 6 lanes in front of the terminal building get ripped out. We'll add canopies, we'll redo the roadway, we'll improve the sidewalks. We will add bollards to protect the building from vehicle-borne threats. So safety, security are #1 priorities. And the airport will look very different in just a couple of years, or the front of it. For the rental cars, there'll be a new covered walkway that when you walk out of baggage claim, out the doors at the end there, you will walk a slow kind of curve to your left there into a new garage structure that will be where all of the rental cars, all of the ground transportation is. About a 600-foot walk, so you won't walk across the street into the existing garage. You'll kind of walk out and go left there. What that's going to look like to your right is that covered walkway. It won't be conditioned, but it will be ventilated and covered and protected from the wind. It'll be a really nice structure, and then you will go into a beautiful garage structure, 4 levels. Elevator cores on the left. It won't be the traditional rental car center that you're used to using, where you go get in kind of a line at the brand and wait for to get your car, and they try and sell you things that maybe you don't want. Most people now are using their phones to get to the car. They're being wayfinded directly to the lane that your car may be in, then you pick a car and you go. So that will be what this is based off of. It'll also be completely wired for all electric vehicles, which is where the fleet will end up at some point. We don't know how many years that will take, but the transition is already beginning. Probably solar panels on the top, and we will also have energy storage so that we can get off the grid when the utility needs us off and charge vehicles at night. So ultra-modern rental car facility, the first of its kind in the U.S. when it opens, hopefully in 2025. Just a little bit more about all of that. The main improvement here is not only for the rental car customers, but for more public parking. We add almost 800 additional public parking spaces with this, which is something we desperately need right now. The main project are the 2 concourses. Concourses B and C, as our customers know them, built and opened. They opened in 1980. They were built for customers flying in the 737-200, which held 120 passengers. And you've probably heard of the MAX series of aircraft now, and they hold 170 to 220 people. We have the same hold rooms that we had 42 years ago, and airplanes that are almost twice as big, and that's why it's so crowded inside there. It takes almost 2 hold rooms to work a large 737 aircraft. So we need a lot more space than what we have today. 42-year-old buildings are living on infrastructure that needs to be replaced. We did almost a 2-year analysis, and ultimately the best decision here is to tear them down and build 2 new ones, ultimately modernize and expand the size of the facility. This is not, we haven't designed it yet. We'll begin the design process in 2023, but if you're heading to a new Concourse C, it will be wider, taller, a lot more views of our mountains, which are dramatic, a lot more access to natural light. There will be outdoor spaces for customers, which is a huge improvement at airports now, for people to go outside while you're waiting for the aircraft. With 315 days of sunshine here, we need to do a much better job of taking advantage of our natural environment. So this project will enable us to do that. We'll add 50% more concessions. We're vastly underutilized for food and beverage and retail. Much more opportunities for all the great local vendors that we have here so that people get that taste and feel of Northern Nevada right as they arrive, or is the last thing they're doing before they're heading home, or for people that live here and to be able to enjoy it right up until the end of their journey through the airport. This is what it looks like. You can't see the existing concourses, but they are just inside of those 2 long blue concourses. You'll see we had a hammerhead at the end there to add more gates. We will go from 23 gates to 28 gates. We need more airplanes, and that's the way you get more routes, is to have more places to park aircraft at night, to turn more during that peak morning and peak midday. And so this adds gates, and we have not added a gate since we opened those two concourses in 1980. So it is certainly time. This entire program is almost $1 billion. I say almost. I hope it doesn't get to $1 billion, but we're north of $800 million right now with the projects I've talked about and several others. You know, it's a huge investment in infrastructure, but it won't get cheaper or easier as we wait. And if we don't move this forward right now, people in 2030 will be wondering what we were doing, because we will be so far behind the curve at that point. A little bit of this is catch up, a little bit of it is playing offense, and mostly it's taking advantage of a great mindset at the federal level right now on the value of infrastructure investment. We're a very strong argument for that. This is unique, one-of-a-kind infrastructure for Northern Nevada. We have a huge catchment area. People drive from many directions to use this airport. Unfortunately, it's going to take us the rest of this decade to get this all done. As you all know, infrastructure is slow, it's expensive, and it takes a long time to add aircraft gates, to build concourses, to build parking garages. So we will do a lot of this simultaneously, concurrently. It's a challenge for our organization. Honestly, it's the biggest infrastructure challenge we've ever taken on in our history. But there's a great window of opportunity to do this right now. And we're working on a multitude of funding sources, from the federal level to our own funding that we have saved. We are a debt-free airport today. We won't be when this is over with. We will take on several $100 million worth of debt, but that is part of our role. That is why we collect revenues. It's to invest it in infrastructure that benefits the customer. That's why we exist. So all of these things will be taking place. In my last slide, my public service announcement. Everybody travels. Hopefully you're all flying at some point during the holidays. Arrive at least 2 hours early. You hear that everywhere. We really mean it, primarily because of the parking situation, that you don't know for sure where you're going to end up. We are going to overflow quite a bit. We're parking people in places we've never parked cars before. We're taking an honor system and some of these payment methods, just asking people how long they're staying, and then we take the payment. Because it's just more important that we find a place for people to park than anything. You don't want to have the trip ruined before they've even gotten out of the car. And next week, we will be supremely challenged with finding spaces for everybody. But we have a plan, and we're confident in it. Follow signs for the ticket lobby. If you're not checking a bag, don't go to the ticket lobby. That's the best advice I can give. It's messy right now, but if you are, follow the signs, and we'll get you to your airline as quick and easy as possible. And if you're dropping people off or picking up, especially if you're picking up, don't wait on the curb. Go to the free waiting lodge, and there's a QR code that you can scan there, and you can win 2 free tickets on Spirit Airlines. And that just helps keep that roadway congestion down a little bit at those peak hours. That's it. Thank you very much for the opportunity to update, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great presentation. I'm so excited you could come to the board and talk about this very exciting expansion of the airport. I'll open it up to my fellow board members if y'all have any thoughts or questions to add. Okay, well, I'll just, I have 2 just huge kudos on, how green this project is, and I'm hoping that came from our appointee, because I think that he has been a leader in that space, so I'm very proud about that. And then I think you have a call for public art out right now. Is it for the garage?
It is
aspect?
for the ticket hall.
The ticket hall.
Yes, and there will be a call for public art with each of these projects, and so the ticket hall is up first, and it's on the street right now. We have formed a new art advisory committee that is a who's who of the fine art industry in Northern Nevada, and we are excited to have all of them helping us, and they're excited. It's really the first time the airport's gone out and done something like this. So
truly, and I think that, we're all excited to see a little bit of local flair happening in the airport, so thank you for doing that. And just one question, because this is not technically taxpayer fees, I'm assuming is this a prevailing wage project, or?
For the projects that get federal funding, we have Davis-Bacon wage requirements.
Good.
So the ticketing hall, the concourses, absolutely. The CONRAC is actually a public-private partnership, and we are not funding that. The rental cars are funding that through their developer, so the rules are somewhat different there. But with a state of labor prevailing wage, I think, is what they're all doing just to get people to the job site.
Absolutely. And it's Apprentice Week this week, and
Yes.
we've got amazing people here that we'll be
Yes.
giving a proclamation to. So I just want to make sure that they understood that this was a project that we're thinking about
Yes.
on that.
Lots of great opportunities coming.
Any other thoughts? Okay. Yes, Commissioner Jung.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I want to congratulate the board, your airport board. I think this is probably the most rockin' and rollin' board I've ever seen, and I know you know that because you have to report to them. And I really want to congratulate them on getting NDOT and their I-580 expansion to not change your entrance and exits to the airport. And I remember when, I don't know if it was before you or after you, but
Way
I
before
remember
me.
way before you. I remember them coming to me and saying, "What are we gonna do? NDOT wants," and I'm like, "It's NDOT. They're the boss of themselves. I don't know." And they got it done. They got the entrances stable and not changed. So that is a giant. And your government affairs director can tell you that that was a giant lift and a giant success to get that, which works right into your plans nicely here. The other thing I wanted to congratulate you on, I got a email about it, is your Stewart Museum from Carson City's display that's on until February. The Stewart Indian School display is in your concourses, and this is the theme of it is to remember their sacrifices, the students who were taken from tribal lands and brought to school to be Americanized, and also to not forget them and their art and their contributions and the sacred land on which that airport and all of us live on. So I think it's amazing, and I just might take a flight just to see this display.
Please
so
do.
thank you very
Absolutely.
much, Mr. CEO. And again, thank you for the expansion at that airport. And I know that comes from great government affairs, and good job stealing Lindsay Anderson from the school district because she's a rock star. So thank you. And I might add, she's too humble to admit it or to remind you, our chairwoman is a former arts and culture manager for the city of Reno. So if you need any tips and tricks, I'm sure she knows about how to do a public call for art, because that is another boondoggle to get into. So I'm sure she has just nothing better to do, but I know that's why she was asking you,
Her
because
spare time, yeah.
she knows that's sort of her area. It is her subject matter expertise, but I think you do a great job, and I can tell you this. You have a great reputation in this town, and that's everything to get stuff done there. So good job. Great hires, I have to tell you. And we're always here to support you. We understand how important that airport is to everything we do in Washoe County.
Well, thank you very much and for all of that. And I really appreciate your comments around the board. They are phenomenal leaders, all 9 of them. And, you know, they made a $500 million decision a month ago. Those are not easy decisions to make. It takes courage, it takes vision, and I was proud of them and couldn't ask for a better board of support. And they want to do the right thing for Northern Nevada. And sometimes you have to think decades in advance to make those decisions. But we're going, and we are rocking and rolling. It's exciting, and we're going to keep you updated as we go, but lots of good things to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll be talking soon, I'm sure.
For sure.
Okay, next up, we have a presentation and discussion by Amber Howell, Washoe County Human Services Agency, regarding updates on our child care program for Washoe County. Welcome, Amber. Ms. Howell, I'm so excited to get this update.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Commission. I'm Amber Howell, Director of Washoe County Human Services Agency. And one of the areas we don't talk about a lot, but it's really important in our community, is childcare. It's one of the programs that HSA administers. We are the only, although we license childcare in Washoe County, for the rest of the rural counties and Clark County, the state licenses. So we are the only one that is still licensing at a local level. So childcare has a lot of different ties between people being able to work, getting good education for children when they're young. It impacts our employees. It impacts foster children tremendously. And it's an area that we are severely lacking in our community. So just to give the landscape, there's been a ton of closures in the last 5 years in Washoe County, and those are really related to a couple of things. Cost to administer that type of program, getting qualified staff in the area, the pay that staff are hired at, the more demand for specialized services when children don't fit in a normal childcare setting. And we have incredible wait lists in this community. I know for our employees, you know, as soon as they get pregnant, they're having to, you know, get on the wait list, and sometimes it's 9 months to a year to even get an open spot. So it becomes a dilemma for many working families. Should I work or stay home? And that shouldn't be a dilemma that our families are facing, because we know childcare is so important. For our, did I skip it? No. So for foster kids, it's even more dire. And the reason for that is when we ask a foster family to take in a child, the first question is, where do I take them to daycare? And when we don't have a solution for that, we lose a placement option. And that has been something that we've been hearing for the last couple of years of, I can't foster a child if I don't have a daycare option. And so many of them, you know, deny placements. And for HSA and other departments across the state, we have implemented BYOB, Bring Your Own Baby, to work. And it's been great because mothers and fathers don't have to choose between a place for their child to go or work. What we have seen, though, is we had a policy that babies, as soon as they got mobile, they would have to transition to daycare because they get busier, and that's hard in the workplace. However, employees can't find daycare, and so babies are staying with us much longer than we would like because of the childcare landscape. So for employees, same scenario that other families are facing. What do I do about the lack of childcare? So there is a solution to these three areas. That one is to be in charge of our own destiny a little bit and to get creative and innovative about how to solve this. And to get community involvement so that we're both tackling the issue and we're not the only ones that are trying to solve this huge dilemma. And at the same time, we're seeing we've been working with local childcare centers to have them apply for the governor's childcare grant, the expansion grant. Washoe County is not eligible for that, but local childcare centers are, and there's quite a bit of money there. And so we've been encouraging and giving them data and letters of support so that they can get those grants. So today, the need outweighs the available slots. So just so you know the numbers, there's about 10,000 childcare spots across the county. And the sad issue is that even if we added 10,000, we still wouldn't meet the need, but it would get us much closer. And every center that opens that can, you know, add an additional 100 slots, you know, and if everybody is working together on this, then we can make a huge improvement. And we know how important early childcare is. So it's not just so that children have a place to go so that families can work. Every research study that's ever been done proves that early childhood increases graduation rates, increases kindergarten readiness, reading, math, social interaction, and all of those things. But there's just not a national focus on this really important early intervention step for children. So in Washoe County, we are growing, which you all know, so growing by about 6%, and 21% of our population is under the age of 18, so that's a pretty big number. We have a lot of littles in our community that need a lot of services, and we just keep growing, and childcare isn't able to keep up. So the costs, it's pricey no matter where you put your child in daycare. Just to give a snapshot, an infant is about $900 a month. And as children age, the rates don't drop tremendously, so you don't really ever get a break, $100 here or there. But then when they graduate out of preschool and go to kindergarten, for the next 6 years, they still need before and after school. So, you know, parents are paying for almost a decade at these wages, incredibly expensive. And so you can see even a 5-year-old is almost $700 a month. And we know that 11% of children in our community are living in poverty, and 24% of children in our community live in a single parent, single wage earner household. And we can talk a little bit more if anyone wants to ask me a question later about where are the resources when people can't pay the full amount. There is resources available to them, but for an average person in Washoe County who doesn't meet that eligibility, the rate is the rate, and there's no safety net for that population. So just for a little bit of background, so foster care placements, we have seen about a 300 child decrease in the amount of children that are in foster care in the last 5 years. So Washoe County is doing very well at not having tons of children in foster care and doing whatever we can to keep families together. But just a sad fact, 50% of our overall foster care caseload is 5 and under. So it's a very young age group. And just a sad statistic of how young children are coming into care. Another trend that we're seeing is as our foster care caseloads decrease, so are our foster care licenses and placements, which is a bad thing. And because you would think that we would have a lot of placements with a decrease in foster care, but there's a myriad of things of why we are seeing a decrease in foster care placement. So because I started noticing this trend, I did a little roadshow with foster parents. I sat down with about 400 of them over a 10-meeting cycle to talk about what can we do better? What do you need? How can I help you take some of our foster children? What are the issues and how can we do better to partner? And the number one response was childcare. And there's a lot of things that we need to work on and fix, and we're going to do all of those things too and do an action plan. And the meetings have gone very well. I've learned a ton. But this childcare issue is just a repeating theme for us. So foster care placements, I talked about this already. So we've seen a decrease in 41 licenses, which is actually 323 foster care slots. So those are very big numbers for us. So with all of these statistics and barriers, we can shift to what can we do about it? So a couple of different things. We have a lot of opportunities that we can figure out how to tackle this. One option is to purchase a childcare center or two to just increase capacity in the community. I don't think Washoe County or HSA wants to get in the business of operating childcare. We license them. It would be a conflict for us, and there are people that do it better than us. But we can support childcare centers in being able to open. by providing, operating costs, help purchasing a building. Every time we do that, and as the childcare centers in the community are applying for the state grants, that's an aggressive effort that I think we can really make a difference. By purchasing or supporting a childcare center, it gives us some leverage. So we can have a stake in, we need 50 slots for foster kids. We need 50 slots for our employees. And so it becomes a partnership where we can help drive it a little bit, but we don't have to take on the whole thing. And so it helps with expansion. So we have asked the state. I have to be careful because they've been very kind to us lately. But I have asked the state, is there any in your childcare block grant or vacancy savings where you could help us purchase a building? But also, we can look at ARPA funds, we can look at grants. I mean, there's a multitude of things that we can do to try and get revenue for this. And since it's a one shot, it's easier. It's more difficult when we have to continue to pay for it long term. But I think that there's some areas that we can get creative on, and we can make a difference in this community. And it helps children get what they need at an early age. It helps working families. It helps our foster care system. It has a domino effect in several areas where this could be really exciting if we could figure out a way to do this. So I will stop and take any questions you have, but those are my ideas of ways that we can get involved. But it takes a community effort. And we have a lot of childcare centers that are interested in tackling this. So we have lots of community support.
Wonderful. Thank you for that presentation. I think that information really helps underscore the importance of this project. Do we have commissioners that have any thoughts? Yes, Commissioner
Thank
Jones.
you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you so much, Ms. Howell. And also, you are being very humble.
Yes.
Because you know what I always like to tell you? Well, if you need that, you need to go ask the state. Because she's one of our best at getting state funds and private funds. Please go ask this church, Miss Howell, if you need a garden, right? And Miss Howell has been the person who shows up with the cash for the facilities and programs that she believes are of critical importance, and you always can get out there and get it done. So I'll tell you, anything that you spearhead, I don't worry about, which probably you don't like because you probably don't feel as much supported, but you always seem to find the resources to address the most critical needs of this community, especially when it comes to human services and the foster family program. But most importantly, really the justice for working women, because the data showed during COVID, when both parents were home who were normally earning and they were home taking care of their children, the mothers still did a vast majority, some say as much as 99% of all the child care, as well as their full-time job. So I believe this is a social justice issue. And most importantly and critically, as we have the silver tsunami who's retiring and we want to recruit new employees. It's these soft benefits is the only way we'll ever be able to compete in a rapidly growing community. Growing this fast means a lot more competition for these smarty pants, and is changing the dynamics, I bet, of us being able to recruit. Because it used to be, if you had an advanced degree, you could work for the school district, the hospital, UNR, or the cities and counties. And we have diversified our economy, thank goodness. But it also makes it more difficult with the pay that we are able to offer in accordance with what we have in a budget to be able to provide these soft skills to our employees so they can be active and engaged. And the younger people who are coming into the professional workforce are all telling us right here on the ground that they want that work-life balance. One of my favorite comments in a closed session labor negotiation with a certain union was, these guys don't want to work overtime anymore. They want to be with their family. And I said, let's encourage that. That's health, instead of always working and not taking care of your other personal business that you have. So you are a shining star, and I know this will get done. And I want to thank our chairwoman, a new mother, who there's nothing like experiencing this yourself to figure out. And our board, we have small children on this board with 2 commissioners and soon to be another commissioner with small children. And I have learned so much about childcare that I never wanted to know because I'm childless by choice, but just the worry of not knowing where to take your kids. And then, not to throw a knock at the school district because I don't understand it enough, just enough to be dangerous, they have Wednesdays half days. If I was a mommy, I wouldn't know what to do. I guess I'd tell the school, you take care of them. I don't know what to do. Do you see? I know that wouldn't work, but it's a real issue for just, and we're one of the biggest employers. And with young people coming in, we're going to have more childcare issues, not less, because we have a big old baby boom that happened too during the shutdown, which, I mean, anybody could have predicted, but, and so we're back at that issue. So I am so grateful that this is being taken on and cheered by Commissioner Herman and Commissioner, the chairwoman, because I didn't have as much knowledge about a real difficulty that parents have of small children who cannot be unsupervised at home. So thank you for teaching me all this. It was great to learn. And the price, I looked at this and you can tell I haven't rented in a long time or bought anything in a long time, but $900 a month for childcare, that's a house payment. I mean, it used to be when I first bought a house, but that's a big over your head scary thing if you and especially if you both have to be at work, or even when they didn't have to be at work, they had to be attentive in their house. So bravo, so good. This is going to win a bunch of big national awards. I can already feel it. So good job, and always let us know how we can help. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brown, too. Really, really good leadership here in a crisis that we found ourselves in during the pandemic and the shutdown. We were really trying to solve for adult supervision and where can we get it. So thank you.
Well, as you know, Ms. Howell, I've been so supportive of these efforts, and your leadership on this and working with the state is just incredible. I know this is not for action, but I'm assuming you were hoping to get some support from the board, and I think that you're hearing that we want this to help with both the most vulnerable people in our community, our foster youth, and I mean, what a game changer if we can get more people interested in becoming licensed. If we can say, no, we've got that child care taken care of, we got you a slot. And then also a game changer, like you were saying, for recruitment and getting the best and the brightest at Washoe County and ensuring we can keep them here. I can't tell you how many functions I take my daughter to because I don't have childcare, and I do have part-time childcare, but I'm still on list for full-time childcare. So and my daughter is 11 months, and I signed up when I was pregnant. So yeah, it's a real battle. So thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to supporting your efforts with ARPA dollars, any way that this board can make sure that we make this sustainable, of course, but also make this happen while we have this opportunity. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we are going to go into our proclamations, and we'll go back to public comment as a reminder. So we're going to start with 7A1, a proclamation for November 11th as Veterans Day. And I think we may have county employees here who are veterans. Okay, well, come on down because Commissioner Jung is going to read the proclamation, and we want to honor you if you want to stand behind Commissioner Jung. Go ahead, Eric. Get down. All right.
And Mr. Wilrich, come on down. Are there any other veterans in the
They're
his house that
coming.
want to come on? Come on.
They're
if you're a
shy.
veteran. You don't have to be staff too if you're a veteran. Come on down here. First of all, welcome home and thank you for your service. I couldn't run my big fat mouth up here if it wasn't for you guys. I never forget that. I never forget that, how much you have protected me in my entire life of being a little bit of a loudmouth. Thank God for these men behind me that make sure that that is still the First Amendment right, the most important right is honored. Whereas Veterans Day is a national and state holiday that salutes the courageous men and women who have honorably served in the armed forces of the United States, and whereas on Veterans Day, we honor our nation's veterans who have given so much to protect our freedoms and the freedoms of others others around the globe. They represent the highest ideals of our country. And whereas, while we can never fully repay the debt we owe these heroes, we will honor their service and provide them the care and support they deserve. And whereas Washoe County is home to nearly 32,000 veterans, and whereas for generations, millions of Americans have answered the call to serve, taking the sacred oath to defend and preserve our nation's ideals of liberty and democracy. These patriots represent the best of us. On Veterans Day, we honor their service, dedication, and valor, and are forever grateful for their sacrifice. And whereas, with respect for and in recognition of the contributions that our service members have made to the cause of peace and freedom of the around the world and this board, now therefore the Washoe County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim 11/11/2022 as Veterans Day. And I want to take this brief moment to thank my two favorite veterans of my life. My husband, Scott Jung, thank you for your service in the first Iraq War, first ship in, last ship out. And of course, to my dad, Theodore Ross Kuhn, who is a retired Vietnam veteran and a retired Air Force, gave his whole professional career to public service and continued it as a United States Postal Service worker. And if you look at veterans behind me here, the highest form of civil servants is military. And if you also notice, these civil servants, my favorite people in the world too, are public servants. They continue their public service because it gets into you. And it is, I am honored, and I know I'm so privileged to grow up in a military family and to marry a veteran. And so I humbly thank you and want you to know we'll never forget, ever. And we're always here for you, veterans. Thank you. Do you want to speak, anybody, veterans?
Nope.
Strong and silent type, just my favorite. Okay, well, that's our Veterans
Thank you.
Proclamation. And
Beautifully
I got to say, Remza, who is one of our partners, did a flyover for the Veterans Day Parade that the city of Reno held. And I thought that was really lovely. And that was in recognition of the service members that were there. Remza flew over. So it was a really great parade. I watched it on YouTube like I do everything now. It was a really great parade, and I'm proud of Remza for recognizing all of these finest human beings and finest and highest service that we could ever call for an American to do for us. So
Absolutely. And can we break real quick for a photo? I want to thank our veterans as well. We'll just do a quick break for a photo. We have a proclamation for November 14th through the 20th as National Apprentice Week. And I think we have folks in the audience who are going to come down and accept this. Okay, this is a Board of County Commissioners proclamation. Whereas National Apprentice Week is celebrating its 8th anniversary of raising awareness of the vital role of registered apprenticeships in providing, creating opportunities by allowing apprentices to earn while they learn and preparing a pathway to good quality jobs and well-paying careers. And whereas registered apprenticeship programs enable employers to develop and train their workforce while offering a career seeking affordable paths to secure high-paying jobs. And whereas registered apprenticeships expand opportunities in our workforce that are inclusive of individuals who have not been who have been historically underserved, marginalized, and adversely affected by persistent poverty and inequality, thus providing a path for all qualified individuals to become apprentices and contribute to the America's industries. And whereas apprenticeship is a proven and industry-driven training model, training our workforce and building a pipeline to good quality jobs in order to address our nation's pressing workforce challenges, such as rebuilding the country's infrastructure, addressing the critical supply chain demands, supporting a clean energy workforce, modernizing our cybersecurity response, and responding to care economy issues. And whereas the Northern Nevada Building, Construction, and Trades Union and associated contractors invite the community members to visit their joint apprenticeship training centers to see the great opportunities and programs available right here in Washoe County. Therefore, the Washoe County Board of County Commissioners does proclaim November 14th through the 20th, 2022 as National Apprenticeship Week, and it's signed by our chairman, Von Hartung. And I got this fact sheet about the myths of the building trades, and a few points that I just want to make is these positions are also good for women, great pay and advancement opportunities, and very satisfying work. And I'd love to have someone come up and say something. Okay, and here you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, hi, I'm, for the record, Brian Prather. I'm with the Northern Nevada Apprenticeship Coordinators Association. I'd like to thank the Commission for recognizing Apprenticeship Week and how important it is to the trades and building our infrastructure in Nevada. Currently, there are 61 apprenticeship programs in Nevada with 5,840 apprentices registered right now and training in the industry. Now, this is very important because as we move forward, our skilled craftsmen are going to start retiring out and leaving and going on their way. So we're opening up jobs for training for young people to come in, or even older people. We're not going to care who wants to come to the trades and wants to learn this industry and these skills. There'll be job openings for them. Now, the role of the apprenticeship is to help serve the underserved and marginalized and some of the under poverty with fair paying wages, with good benefits and things like that to keep them going. And also, we've also get kind of boxed into the point where a lot of people feel that our crafts don't go to college and don't get degrees. Well, that's not true. We have a great relationship with Truckee Meadows Community College where all the apprentices receive college credits with the opportunity of getting associate's degrees in our industry. So I would like to thank the Commission for recognizing this. And also, if you haven't been to one of the apprenticeship training facilities, I really recommend you go. State-of-the-art training. These facilities are great. We bring these people in and give them the safety, the skills, and things they need to carry out through their careers with the trade. So with that, I'd like to thank the Commission for recognizing Apprenticeship Week. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to run up and we'll do the last proclamation. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. That's great to see you. My pleasure. Thank you.
I want to add, Madam Chairwoman, real quick, too, that these apprenticeship programs are paid. So people often wonder, like, well, I'm not independently wealthy. How am I going to go to school for 6 weeks? These apprentices are paid, and they have steady and predictable increases to their salaries too, and their families are covered with some of the best Cadillac provisions for healthcare. So if you have a family member who's pregnant or you're worried about daycare, get in the apprenticeship programs because they pay good money with great resources for their families, and that is. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of jobs that I look around now at and go, what the heck was I thinking going on to grad school? I could have had a really nice life in the trades. And these trades, we've worked so hard to get them paid right and have the benefits that are appropriate because, as was mentioned, this is not a job that you can do forever. This is a job that they use their bodies on, most of these jobs. There's some you don't use your bodies on, so don't get worried, women. There's a welding and all kinds of stuff. It's not as hard. But it is so critical that we take care of this and not lose the craft, because the craft will be lost. There's not a lot in textbooks. I know you guys have a textbook program, but you tell me anytime I come to these tours, I can't do this with a professor video. I have to come in and do it because the craftsman that's there is going to teach me the real tools and tricks of the trade. So I love what you guys do, and I tell anybody who has their son living in the basement smoking pot and drinking Mountain Dew to get their asses cleaned up and get to the trades. So you'll be getting them soon. And I know you guys are desperate too because we're working like crazy right now. So good job, and thank you, Councilwoman Vanderwall, for always supporting this. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Next up, we'll go to 7A3, proclaim November as Lung Cancer Awareness Month, and Commissioner Herman is going to read this one.
Before we have a vote.
And come on down from the Lung Cancer Coalition.
I was just going to say something. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, really good. Thank you for being here. Thank you. So the Board of County Commissioners have a proclamation. Whereas lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer death in the U.S. and in Nevada, and whereas the American Cancer Society estimates 2,030 Nevadans will be diagnosed with lung cancer in 2022, and 1,170 will die of the disease. And whereas those living in persistent poverty have a 16% higher mortality rate from lung cancer and are more likely to have higher cancer risk factors, including cigarette smoking and less access to health care. And whereas lung cancer can be caused by a variety of factors, including smoking and exposure to secondhand smoke, exposure to elevated levels of radon, chemicals, or air pollution, or a family history of lung cancer. And whereas screening for lung cancer is recommended for adults age 50 to 80 and is available throughout Washoe County, yet only a handful of those eligible have been screened. And whereas there is a stigma associated with lung cancer, causing some people to not get screened or receive treatment after the diagnosis because, and whereas the Nevada Cancer Coalition and its many community members and partners are working to increase awareness of lung cancer screening, reduce the stigma associated with the disease, reduce the exposure of risk factors associated with the disease, and ensure more Nevadans receive lung cancer screening. Now, therefore, the Washoe County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim November 2022 as Lung Cancer Awareness Month. This is dated the 15th of November and had a beautiful seal on it and signed by Von Hartung, our chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Do y'all have anything to say?
Hi, I'm Darcy Phillips with the Nevada Cancer Coalition, and I would just like to add to that only 1% of eligible Nevadans get screened for lung cancer. 1% that are eligible for it actually get screened, which contributes to our incredibly high death rate. in people diagnosed with lung cancer. So we're just trying to spread some awareness because that's where we are with lung cancer right now. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for helping us spread the word. Thank you. And I was taking all of those proclamations together, and my understanding, Madam Clerk, is that we have a public comment on one
Yes,
of them.
ma'am, we do. On item 7A2, we have Andrew Maldonado speaking.
Okay.
Andrew Maldonado?
Not here.
He's not here.
Okay. With that, may I have a motion to accept these
So
proclamations?
moved, Madam
Okay.
Chairwoman.
That's a second. All right. I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. I'm hearing none. That is approved unanimously. So now we will go back to public comment. Madam Clerk, take it from here. Public comment. Yes, Mr. Manager.
Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. The commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the commission as a whole.
Now it's my turn.
Yes.
Mark Newman is up first.
Good morning, Commissioners. First of all, congratulations, Commissioner Herman, for being reelected. Tomorrow night, there's a meeting at the Sun Valley Community Center on 6th Street about Highland Village 2. I hope you'll be there. Thank you. The other thing is I spoke with Manager Brown about computers and teaching and everything for the senior center out in Sun Valley, and he says when it becomes available, he'll get a hold of me at the senior services. Also, Sun Valley had the Veterans Breakfast last Saturday morning. It was a good turnout. A lot of the veterans there, really nice. Gotta pull out my eyes, I can't see. Whatever happened with that speed control thing that you had going for us, Commissioner Jung in Sun Valley? I've seen it that 1 week, haven't seen it since. And Sun Valley Cab will be next Saturday because of the Veterans Day holidays and everything else. It'll be at Hobie's banquet room at 10 a.m. And we got Hobie's to commit again to next year for our cab meetings in Sun Valley. And the senior center in Sparks had been remodeled, and there's a virtual tour you can take of it. We had our first meeting there this month here in November. Really turned out nice in there. Thank you.
Next up, we have Donald Fossum.
Greetings, Commissioners. It's nice to come take the read on the post-election room. Congrats to Jean on winning again, and kudos to Mr. Clark for a well-run, successful campaign. It would be great to get the new view and read of the room with Mr. Clark before us and the community behind us. He brings not only experience, but dramatic experiences with the commission to the table. I look forward to that. Regarding election integrity, here we go again, folks. To shed light, so to speak, which we lost during the ballot counting process, the lights went out. Based on lack of efficiency and transparency in the general election in vote handling, I am calling on the board not to certify the corrupted reported results, which many question as whether they're the correct results. It's lights out on public approval. So all I need to do, is it too late to get the overhead?
It's up.
So you saw this during the primary. It's my presentation. Now all I have to do is this. And say it applies to the general. Regarding, it was nice to be here for the presentations, and regarding the one about the airport, they're really moving ahead on some fast and heavy spending over there, when the worst situation, he did not address up front as he did unloading tons of money on things that are mostly about the facade, besides making room for the airplanes. But we need room for parking. He saved that for last and admitted it's their biggest crisis. What does it take to make more parking? Clear frickin' land. That should be the first thing. I'm a regular user of the airport. It's a pain.
Next up, we have James Bentham. Thank you. I will distribute his documents before he begins to speak.
Oh, excuse me, sorry.
Sorry.
For the record, my name is James M. Bentham. I want my comments placed on the record. I am passing out copies of Grooming Children for Transhumanism for all the commissioners, and I want this article to be placed in the record also. Good morning. I am here to voice my opposition to the Drag Queen Story Hour. This is nothing more than child abuse. I am familiar with the Overton principle to change mass psychological beliefs. The use of the Drag Queen Story Hour is using advanced psychological warfare on children, parents, and families. I oppose the Drag Queen Story Hour. Let's stop it now. This is adult entertainment. Even now, fentanyl and drugs are very popular. Should we accept and tolerate their use? The Old Testament is full of passages about the importance of raising children to love and worship God. Parents are reminded that children are a heritage of the Lord. Children are instructed to obey the instruction of their parents. Parental wishes should be foremost in forming policies. Psalms 127:3 says, "Children are a gift from the Lord. Children are not property of the school board, and they are not to be psychologically experimented on." I wish to read part of the article, Grooming Children for Transhumanism. By now, it's common knowledge that government schools and Hollywood are both grooming children for transgenerism. The dangerous pseudo-scientific notion that they can transcend their biology to become a new gender with hormone treatments and surgical mutilation of genitals. But what comes next may be even more diabolical, preparing children for transhumanism. The Drag Queen Story Hour is using the Overton window and psychological programming to indoctrinate children. I do not believe parents want this to happen. Do parents want their children to be experimented on? I do not believe so. Please remove this program. Thank you for your time.
Madam Chair, I also have 19 emails that will be placed on the record.
Thank you very much. All right, we will now go on
Item 6.
to item 6.
Item 6 is commissioners and county managers' announcements, reports, and updates to include boards and commissions updates, requests for information, and topics for future agendas.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Do we have any commissioners who have things to bring up? Yes, Commissioner Herman.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. In regards to the last speaker in public speaking, I'm just going to mention one thing that happened with something that I wanted to have at the libraries, and I was trying to donate the Rush Revere books, but I was told that that was an inappropriate thing to have at the library. But I tend to agree with the gentleman that just spoke. It's kind of controversial, isn't it? That we can have the drag queens and not Rush Revere. All right, so I have a lady that was here at one time recently, and she's from the air races, Mrs. Thompson, and she would like to appear before you one more time in the very near future, possibly the first meeting we have in February. Can you arrange that? Thank you very much. All right, so we talked about a little, in fact, it was, RGJ did an article on it, and it was about some people that got forgotten when it came to voting time. They didn't get their ballots, and that was up in Via, and there's still quite a few people that never received a ballot, and there's some that received them late, the second sending, or maybe the first. And so they felt the way that I felt 20 years ago when I wasn't allowed to vote because somebody had voted in my place. They're really not very happy with that, and I don't know what we can do now for them now that the election is over, but I hope that this will never be allowed again. This was a very huge mistake, and just wanted to bring that up again. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. And I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, did you have anything for us today?
I had one thing, which is, Madam Chair, that the canvass of the vote will take place on Friday here in Chambers at 10 a.m. The update from the registrar's office this morning is they had roughly 1,900 provisional ballots to work through today, which should not be a problem, and that will close out the process.
Great, thank you for that. Anything, Commissioner Jung?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I just want to say to all of the staff here at Washoe County, who I know when it's election time, it's all hands on deck and forget about getting overtime. I want to tell you that under the tremendous scrutiny and attacks, how very proud I am for the professionalism of this entire organization and the commitment to fair, free, and most important, which I love what our interim registrar said, she'd rather be accurate than fast. And I think when it comes to really anything, I think I'd rather be accurate and fast. Doesn't mean I always live by that, but I'm going to put that in my head from now on when it comes to these things that are of tremendous import. And I know that staff takes it right, left, and center. There's not just one side that comes after staff. Listen, my party does too, and they're all on my shoulders about it too. But I do believe deeply in my soul that it's fair, it is open, and that we are the most transparent voting tallier in the whole country. So I want to tell you, staff, I don't have a lot of money. You know what my salary is. But if I did have a lot of money, I'd give you all $1 million because of what you put up with. And I don't believe it's your job to put up with it. If people have problems, I've always said that. Call me. That's why I get paid the big bucks. So again, and I know this goes breadth and depth of staff because it's all hands on board, and these are 24-hour nights. I know it. And I try to lay low. That doesn't mean I don't care. I just know that everybody's blowing up everybody's phone with their hair on fire the moment the polls close, because right here, #1 offender when it's my name on the thing. I want to know now, where's the ballots? What's going on? And I still, after all these years, you guys, because I am classically conditioned now about election night, I'm already watching returns 2 o'clock in the afternoon and truly believing by 7:01 I'll know what happened in Washoe County, right? I still live under that let's go because it is so important and it's exciting. I mean, I say I hate it, but I stay up all night with my family, well, by myself, throwing myself around as you all have seen me do at one form or another, but I stay up all night too. But I know I'm not down here doing this and dealing with this and being impugned for doing your job, and I can't tell you enough. I think it was beautiful, and I'm so proud to be associated with you. Thank you, Mr. Brown, and you, Mr. Brown. Thank you.
Beautifully said, Commissioner Jung. I really appreciate you acknowledging the staff because we know that folks have been working very, very hard. And I know that Nevada gets a hard time because we allow people to put their ballots in the mail on Election Day, but that sounds pretty American to me. So I think that we are doing it right, and I'm looking forward to Friday. With that, if we have no other comments, we will move to an incredible list of donations. We'll take all those items together. And Commissioner Jung, do you mind reading those into the record?
Yes, thank you. If I could get the public's awareness to go to item 8, which is donations. 8 Alpha 1 is regional parks donations, $9,495.03. People here love our parks, as we know. The May Arboretum Society and Eagle Scout Troop 443 have done a project that comes to an estimated $145,000, $511.70. Our Eagle Scout program, as we know, do a lot of improvements for our parks as part of their senior project, their Eagle project. Item 8 Beta 1, Bravo 1 is donations to District Court, CASA, Mr. and Mrs. Felter, and in honor of Susan J. Crump. Human Services Agency, everybody is so wonderful for us there. I believe this comes from the court fees that you're paid to show up to be a juror. You also have the opportunity to say, donate it to Human Services, which is children. And voters here, every time we do a poll, always wants money to go to foster children and child care. Item 8 Charlie 2 is Human Services Agency and Child Protective Services in the amount of $14,000 and some change. Again, $64,000 to Human Services for Senior Services, Men's Crossroads, Our Place, Women's Crossroads, and Women's and Children's Crossroads. 8 Delta 1 is various items donated to the CARES campus from Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, undergarment items from Catholic Charities, hygiene products by Johnson Controls, and disinfectant cleaning wipes by Helping Hands. Thank you so much for all of these companies who believe that, as I do, it is our responsibility to help those who are most vulnerable in our community, whether that is four-legged or two-legged. And 8 Delta 1 is the CARES campus again, cases of water by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Oh wait, I already read that, sorry. 8 Echo 1 is a donation of 480 letter openers anonymously to this by a citizen to the Registrar of Voters, and that is the end of that, and that is also in the form of a motion. And I just want to thank Washoe County citizens and the Washoe County values. You never let me down. The values of this community have always aligned with we help those who are least fortunate, and we are the voice for the voiceless. So I'm proud of these donations, and it should make all of us up here who have worked diligently to be that voice, that our citizens agree. They don't have to give us donations. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Second that.
Thank you for the second. Do we have any public comment, Madam Clerk?
We have nobody signed in.
Okay, with a first and a second, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, that passes unanimously. We now will move into consent. Mr. Manager, are there any items that we need to pull?
Madam Chair, I have no changes.
Okay. Well, if the board, okay, there you go. There's a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please state aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none. Okay, we are now moving into the main part of our agenda. Now, I think Commissioner Herman may have a block for us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes.
Block vote would be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
All right, a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on that, Madam Clerk?
There's nobody signed in on any of those items.
Okay, with a motion and a second, all those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, we will now move into item 15. No, I'm sorry. I did want to point out item 15, though, that we did receive a grant award from the Bureau of Justice Assistance for FY22, a DNA capacity enhancement and backlog reduction program for the Sheriff's Office. That's very exciting and life-changing for many people in our community who have been victims. So great job, Washoe County Sheriff's Office. Now we'll move to item 17. This is an initiation, introduction, and first reading. Mr. Manager, I think you're going to take us into that.
Yes, Madam Chair, and if it's okay with you, we'll do it in two parts. The first
Absolutely.
is the initiation, which is part one, pursuant to WCC 2.030 and 2.040. And in order to comply with AB 116 of the 2021 legislative session, initiate an ordinance amending the Washoe County Code in chapters 50 and 70 concerning vehicles and traffic violations in order to convert most of those violations to civil infractions instead of criminal misdemeanor offenses. This amendment is necessary to comply with updates made in the Nevada Revised Statutes, chapters 483 through 484E, inclusive 486 and 490 in the 2021 legislative session. State statute updates require many Washoe County traffic violations to be reduced from misdemeanor offenses to civil infractions unless state law provides that the violation shall be charged, as a misdemeanor. So I think we take.
And then, Madam Clerk, or do we take that first?
You have to take the vote for it to be able to be introduced.
Okay. May I have
Move to approve, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Jung, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. All those in favor, please state aye.
Madam Chair, public comment on that.
Oh, excuse me.
Check.
Do we have any public comment?
I have public comment on the next section.
Okay. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. All right, thank you very much. Now we'll go into the next section.
Okay, so section 2, if initiated, also conduct an introduction and first reading of the new ordinance by title and set the second reading and public hearing for enactment on December 20th, 2022. The title, an ordinance amending the Washoe County Code. Am I reading?
I can read it.
Okay.
This will be Bill number 1885, if introduced, in Washoe County Code, WCC, Chapter 50, Public Peace, Safety, and Morals, and Chapter 70, Vehicles and Traffic, by repealing sections duplicative of state law requiring a new resident to obtain a Nevada driver's license, by amending the penalty section in Washoe County Code, Chapter 50, to be punishable as a civil penalty of not more than $500 in lieu of a misdemeanor citation, by amending Washoe County Code, Chapter 70, to retain a misdemeanor citation for the following offenses: not obeying a police officer's orders, not obeying traffic control devices, interfering with traffic control devices, hitting a pedestrian in a crosswalk, walking along highways while not on a paved portion of the roadway or crosswalk, or intoxicated. speeding over 30 miles per hour or more than the limit, driving without a license, driving with a suspended license, drinking while driving, failing to stop at the scene of an accident, failing to give notice of an accident, reckless driving, and failing to appear in court, by amending Washoe County Code Chapter 70 to provide for civil penalties for the following offenses: crossing at other than crosswalk, speed limit fine, angle parking in certain incidences, and providing that a civil penalty shall be the default penalty for a violation of Chapter 70 in accordance with the Assembly Bill 116 of the 2021 Nevada legislative session, and by amending Washoe County Code Chapter 70 to specify gross demeanor penalties for off-highway vehicle violations, driving under the influence, and other matters necessarily connected therewith and pertaining thereto.
Thank you very much. Can we have that public comment first?
So I have an email that will be submitted for the record on item 17.2.
Okay, I did see that. Great, thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any questions by the board? Seeing none, who would like to read this into the record for the second hearing?
Nobody. I would like to introduce bill number
1885
and expect to hear the second on December 20th of 2022.
Thank you very much. May I have a second?
Second.
Oh, we don't need a
just need
second. We're just reading it. I'm so sorry. All right, so it has been read into the record. We'll see this back in December. Next up is item 18. Mr. Manager.
18 is an introduction and first reading for Washoe County Code Chapter 5, which deals with administration and personnel.
Okay.
So this will be bill number 1886, an ordinance amending the Washoe County Code at Chapter 5, Administration and Personnel, by repealing sections 5.025 through 5.343, commonly known as the Merit Personnel Ordinance, and adding two new sections, 5.345 and 5.347. Section 5.345 establishes the Department of Human Resources and its duties and authorizes the promulgation of regulations for the administration of the merit personnel system. Section 5.347 provides protections for Washoe County officers and employees against reprisal and retaliation for disclosure of improper governmental actions as required by NRS 281.635.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions by the board? Okay. Would anyone like to introduce this?
I'll let you.
Okay.
You let me do it? Oh, thank you.
All right.
I will introduce bill number 1886 to be heard December 20th, 2022 at this board.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All right.
No second.
Oh, there is no second. I
Okay.
keep on wanting to do that at the first reading. Yeah, I'm gonna get it together. Don't worry. All right. Next up, thank you very much. Next up, we'll go on to item 19, which is public comment. Mr. Manager.
Public comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. The commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the commission as a whole.
Madam Clerk.
I have nobody signed in.
Okay. And next up, item 20, Mr. Manager.
Item 20 is commissioners and county managers' announcements, reports, and updates to include boards and commissions updates, requests for information, or topics for future agendas.
Do we have anything from our board members? Seeing none. Mr. Manager, anything?
No.
Okay. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.